Okay, well, we're gonna start. So is it Christina or Christine?
Christina.
Christina.
Uh-huh.
So Debbie Anderson, I am the program manager for International Student Services. I'm gonna. Is it not advancing? Come on. Now it likes the mouse. Ben Carlotto is our director of our department. I'm the program manager. Mirka Lopez is our education advisor. Ben and Mirka aren't able to be here today. And then Gurkirat is our student ambassador. She just started in December and she is going to be helping with all things international. And she's already been, in fact, before she started, we had our International Education Week and man, she was like helping with everything. It's like, I'm sorry, you're not getting paid for this, but thank you for volunteering your time.
Nice.
So it was really nice to have her. Anyway, we're located right by you. We're on the other side of the center wall part. And I tell people, just look for the international flags. You can't miss them when you're walking through the
Right.
hallways. So,
Right.
right, I'm gonna try this. Oh, now it's working. Okay, so the goals and takeaways, what we want those of you who are attending to know is some information about the current state of international education in higher education, meaning international education in both community colleges and universities across the US, where we as United States rank in various lenses regarding international education. And you'll kind of see that better as I go through the slides. You'll learn more about unique constraints of international students related to enrollment, compliance, government regulations, working. You'll leave with a much better understanding of what it means to be an international student. And the last thing is, how can we help and support our international students to be successful at Bakersfield College? So those are all the things that we're hoping that you'll have takeaways to be able to really understand. Good afternoon, online, on Zoom. We're happy to have you here. That one's not going to work now. I'm going to use this one. So this slide has some information about Bakersfield College and where we fell. So the big blue lines, the tall ones, those are California community colleges. And we have quite a number of California community colleges that have international students. Some don't, but the vast majority of us do, and not a lot, but we have some. You're gonna see during like the fall 2020, fall 21, we dropped, and that was during COVID when students, we had some students whose parents wanted them to immediately come home. We had some students whose parents said, don't come home because they didn't want them to getting on the airplane. And I'm a mom, I got it all the way around. And then we had some that stayed. And so that's how many students that we ended up with. We started out with more, but because we shut down kind of mid-semester, some of the students felt like they couldn't handle it and they just wanted to drop out. And we were doing EWs at the time that it was just too much for them. And so I think we started out with 45 students the fall 2021 semester. Fall 2020, we had a few more than that, but you know, as it kind of went on, it was really hard on all of us humans. Fall 2023, we're on the upswing. Now we have about 60. We have just had our new international student orientation yesterday, and I believe we have about 18 students coming to start on Tuesday for classes. So we are definitely on an upswing. We'll be at about 75 students at that point. You know, we don't have a huge number, but they're all wonderful and we're happy they're all here. This next slide tells a little bit about the institutions and the trends. You're going to see the 22-23 school year there, you know, we were at 11.5% change from the previous year. Then it dropped down and then it went into the negative. You know, that was dear COVID doing that to us. So this is how we fall, you know, Open Doors, the source of this is an organization that schools don't have to report their international student data to, but a lot of us do so that we can kind of get an idea of what our numbers like. And the next slide you're gonna see is how many men versus women and their enrollment status. So enrollment status is a little deceiving because at the California community colleges and the CSUs and UCs, they have to be full-time, a minimum of 12 units, but for graduate level, for masters and doctorates, they don't. That's where that part-time comes in because they're only, if they're doing their, you know, their thesis, they're not full-time in school, they're only part-time in school. So, you know, many of them are single. We only have a couple of married international students. And the visa type for us at Bakersfield College is F visa. It's F1 or F2 for their dependents, because that's the one that the government allows us to have. So that's just a little bit of information. I found the gender and stuff kind of interesting. That it's not that far different for men and women, although we have typically had, well, maybe not my first couple of years working with international, but we usually have more women than men come. So that's true to now, but maybe it wasn't so true my first couple of years. These are the places of origin for most international students throughout the US that are coming to the US where they're from. This semester, and Gurkarat will agree, we have a lot of our students from India. And but we have students from many parts of the world, but this was the 23, 24 where the, you know, the higher numbers were coming from. So those are countries that are sending their students to us to be educated, which is great because the families and the folks know that we have a good education system here. And this is perceptions of why international students choose what they choose. Which destinations are first choice? Canada has been higher than Australia. They're close. We're like neck and neck with them. Then there's UK, and then there's a few others. Ireland is actually coming up higher nowadays. Canada is lowering, and we're coming up more. They don't have the information yet to us to use for this, but that's just been what's been happening. And why do international students pick the US? Because there's, you know, how many countries in the world that they could study. They really do for the quality of education. And this is not necessarily documented. This is word of mouth. This is what they hear from people. They do a Google search on our universities and colleges and they say, wow, they have all this going. They have all these research places. They have all this stuff. So oftentimes that is the first choice. Then second is employment opportunities after graduation. Like, I'm going to get my degree in the US, but then do I have to leave and then find a job at home? Because I will have no experience in that degree. And one of the very cool things I think our government has done for international students for years is to allow them to stay in the country for 1 full year after they graduate with a degree, whether it's an associate's, bachelor's, master's, whatever. They can work full time for 1 full year. And that's that's an agreement that we have. They have to apply for that. The government has to approve them and issue them what's called an employment authorization document. But so that's a big thing for students, is to be able to get that work experience for 1 year. Then things like Safe Country were not always the highest in the US, but these are the different components that people will look for when they're looking at Bakersfield College. In Bakersfield, California, USA, they're looking at all those pieces. Then perceptions of quality. Apparently around the world, which we love, the US has a really high ranking of our quality of education. And like I said, it's not necessarily documented in data or any of those kinds of things, but people have a perception of that. So students definitely want to come. Although you'll see we're like neck and neck with Canada and UK, and that's the way it's kind of been for a while. The other thing that students look for is what support do I get as a student coming to the country? The highest number is the study skills support. And when you think about what we offer at Bakersfield College in the way of things like our writing center, tutoring, you know, lots of those kinds of things. We have so many workshops. The library does a bunch of workshops. There's a lot of things going that offer our students the opportunity to get support and help when they need it. And so that's a really big deal. Career advice for after graduation. We talk to students a lot about career, what their plans are. We also have our student employment office. We have job development specialists that can help them with finding that job, but they also know more about what jobs are out there that will apply to your degree, where some of us don't necessarily know all of that. And then pre-arrival orientation program. We started a new online international orientation that we send to the students before they come to the US, so that they've already been approved as our student. And we'll go through some of that in a bit. But then what do I do now? After I get my visa, what do I do? And it's really the information about traveling, what documents you need to have with you when you travel so that you can go through immigration and not have an issue. Lots of those kinds of things. Where do you land? How do you get to Bakersfield from LAX if you are landing at LAX and you don't know anyone here? Lots of those things. Housing when they get here. We don't have student housing yet. That's of course in the digging phases down on our campus. But it's a lot of those kinds of things that are in our international student orientation that is an online one. So we have a lot of information on that. I bet it's probably pretty overwhelming when a student in India or China is doing that. They're thinking, oh my goodness. This is a print of our students 2023. This was our group of international students that started, and you're correct, you're in there. Yeah, you are very, very far, us looking far left. Anyway, wonderful group of students. Some of them have gone on to other universities already. You might, well, you wouldn't recognize, but some of us would recognize the gentleman in the back to my right, if you're looking at it. Harvind, he is at UCLA. Now he was not an international student. He was born internationally, became a citizen, but he was actively involved with our students because he can identify with that. Anyway, I just texted with him the other day. We did an orientation and you weren't here. Anyway, he's awesome. So I'm gonna let Gurkarat talk about the is that what I'm doing? Yes, about the requirements for admission.
So isn't you were covering that?
You want me to, or you?
I'm doing the second.
You're doing the second, so I'll do that. So students can't just say, oh, I want to go to Bakersfield College and then just come here. There's a big old long process they have to go through. First of all, they communicate with us. We find out things like, have you had any college education anywhere in your home country or anywhere else? Have you done a language proficiency exam? And that is for us to know what their language level is. We are an English speaking college. So for students who were raised in a country that is not English speaking, that's a hard thing for them to come here and be taught in the English language. Everything, all their books are in English. They have to write essays and papers in English. They have to get up and do presentations in English. That's a hard thing. So we have a minimum level that students can have in order to be considered accepted at BC. Then once we've done all of that part, looking at their proficiency, we have to know that they have a financial sponsor that will pay their way for at least the first full year. And that's typically family. And one of the things about that is that most of our families of the students that we have that are international students are not wealthy by any means. They are struggling to do this for their children, but they know the value of an education here, so they're willing to sacrifice and work hard to let them come. So we have to prove to the government that they have enough money to live on while they're here, and they have an unexpired passport. Then we issue a document that is called an I-20. And a letter of acceptance. We send them a letter of acceptance. Both of those items allow them to go to either an embassy or a consulate to get an appointment for a visa. And literally, is it about a 3-minute appointment? Yeah, literally 3 minutes. And they mostly, from everything I hear from students, is they look at the documents. They might ask them a question, maybe 2. Did you get asked any questions?
Like 3 questions.
Just a few, not much. And then they make that decision right on the spot. You get a visa or you don't. That's a challenge for some of our students who are shy. They don't know what to say. They don't, they're afraid. So that can be a challenge. They then must pay the CVIS fee if they get approved, $350. And then they can apply for an interview. And that interview is that 3-minute, basically. Once they're approved, then they make arrangements with us. We help them do the online BC application. We help them, help with them. We have an education advisor, figures out what they should take. And we help them register for classes. Once we've done that, then they're pretty solid and they're really ready to come. And then we do our orientation like we did yesterday. And that's for all new international students. And then once classes start, our school has to do what we call a registration with the government to let them know, yes, these are students that we issued I-20s, and yes, they have all arrived. And yes, they are actually attending classes and they are full-time. So those are things that we have to report to the government pretty early on. It's usually the end of the 2nd week or the 3rd week of classes. So it's a tight fit sometimes. Now Gertrude's going to take over.
So requirements for maintaining their F1 visa status for international students. So student must not arrive in the US more than 30 days before their program start. And when they arrive in the US, they have to contact the school and tell them that they are in the state or on the country. They must take 12 units. They can't take less than 12 units. It can put the hold on their visa. So they have to take minimum 12 units during each semester. Summer session does not include because they have choice that they can take like less than 12 units. But for fall and spring, they must take 12 units. They have to attend all the classes in order to maintain their academic progress. In order to drop any of their classes, they must have to speak with their international student advisor or the services before dropping the class. They can't drop it by themselves because it can put hold on their visa and also they can be in trouble. So they need to talk with their advisor. In order to change their major, also they have to talk with them because they need a new I-20. Or if they change in their address or phone number. So like every personal detail, they have to contact the international student services before making any changes. They cannot allow their I-20 to expire if they need more time to complete their study. So for instance, if their I-20 is expiring and they still have to complete 1 more semester, they have to contact the international student services in order to do that.
Ahead of time.
And also they need to keep all of their I-20s with them, even that if it seems unimportant, because it can be useful in the future and while they need to work on their work visa or like green card. And they cannot leave their country for no longer than 60 days after completion their studies, because then they get, when they complete their program of study, they get the 1 year of OPT where they can work and as a full-time in the field of interest.
So international students pay a non-resident fee. The top fee is the fee that citizen students pay per unit. So it's $46 a unit. And I use the 12 units on here because that is what the government requires our international students. You have to be in 12 units. So that's $552 a semester if you're taking just 12 units. That's what our citizen students pay. Although if they get the California Community College Promise Grant, they don't pay that. International students not only pay that $552, they also pay $329 per unit, which is $3,900 more that they pay. And then the other three fees are the fees that students, everybody pay. The health fee, the student center fee, and the student representation fee. So for an international student in 12 units, just one semester, it's $4,500 for just one semester. We have students that are in the baccalaureate programs because we have a couple of really great baccalaureate programs. They pay an additional $84 per unit for the baccalaureate level. So those last 2 years of their classes that they're in that, they pay that $84 a unit more. So you can see at the bottom, it adds another $1,000 or so onto their already pretty steep fees. This is not as much as the private, or California State Universities or UCs. It's still a big chunk of money that their families, and that is just their school fees. That doesn't take into account if they're taking a class that has other things that they need to buy for it, like some drawing classes. You've got, other items you have to purchase. It also doesn't take into account books. So books are not included, and it also doesn't take into account any kind of living expenses, food, those kinds of things. So those are, you can see that it is a big piece for families in other countries to cover, but they're willing to do it because the US is a great place for students to be able to study.
So for the work regulations for the international student, as an international student, they may work on campus for no more than 19 hours per week. But as an international student, they does not qualify for the federal work study. They must seek jobs within the departmental budgets. International student does not have the social security number. So in order to get that, they must have a letter of job offer, which they can get with their passport, visa, I-20, and I-94. So I-94 is an entry document that states when and where they enter into the USA. And a letter from International Student Services that they approve that they can work on campus. As an international student, if they approve for a social security card, they can complete the HR steps and on-campus hiring. They cannot work off campus until the approval from the US government or the school.
So so lots of our international students will have a job, say they're tutoring on campus. They're maybe working, 6 or 8 hours a week. That's not very much. And so periodically they will go and say, well, I'll work at McDonald's down the street. I have this block of time that I'm available. I can work weekends. They go, they have an interview. McDonald's wants to hire them. And then they come and talk to us and we say, you can't. You are not allowed to work off campus unless the government approves you, not us, the government. And that can take a little bit of time to try to get the approval for that. And they don't approve just because I want to work and I need to help a little bit. It's really for things like my family, the strife around our globe is crazy. And students, we have one student from the Gaza Strip. You can imagine her family cannot help support her now. And so we can help them apply for a severe economic hardship. And that is something that the government needs documentation. They can't just say, well, you're telling me this, but we have to have documentation that shows why you need it and information from your financial sponsor, which is typically family, why you can't continue to support the student as much as you did before. And then the government will issue a document that they can use to get a job. But that's a hard thing for students because everywhere they go, they see, oh, I could work here and I could work here and I could work here, but you can't work any of those places. So it's a tough one, but we also have the restriction at Bakersfield College that their first semester here, we don't want students working. We want them to get used to our education system, which is very different usually than what they've been experiencing in their home countries. We want them to learn about all of our supportive services, and we want them to do really well. So that distraction of a job, we tell them before they come here, don't plan on having a job. Just don't plan on it. Although it is a blessing, isn't it? So, and we all love having them work with us, so it's a good deal.
So these are some countries where the international students came from, and mostly the Brazil, China, India, Japan, Sri Lanka. These are the countries, and I'm from India. So now most of the students are coming from India.
We
and-
do, we have a large proportion of our international students. We'd have to count one of these days and see how many, but there's a large, I would guess we probably have 15 or more students that are just from India this semester. And then the bottom list is where we've had students in the past, last semester and then previous semesters.
So
And this was last semester, our group, and we do our orientations in the Levin Center just because it's kind of a nice, easy one to be able to use, but it's fun to get a picture of all the students together.
Mhm. All smiling faces.
All smiling faces, or like overwhelmed. What are you making me do?
So these are some international student activities that International Student Services provide. So we had like a International Student Week where we did paintings and make poster board and show our cultures, like what we did and what we have in our countries.
So that was like this picture
Yeah.
where we had the poster boards. And this picture is
Showing
students
them how to use chopstick.
how to use chopsticks using Cheerios. I think that was all the International Education Week pictures we have here.
Yeah, and here we have the Thanksgiving. We did Thanksgiving week and
This one.
this one.
And this one, so we did an Easter egg coloring time because students don't know about our traditions in the US. So we've tried to, during the holiday times, do things so they understand what this tradition is. So like Halloween, we had a get together and we painted pumpkins, but we had to tell the students all about people are gonna come knocking on your door. And they're gonna be dressed in weird costumes and they're gonna want something from you. And as an international student, if you haven't experienced that before, you would wonder what in the world is going on. So we did a whole thing and we had College Safety come and speak with the students as well about safety. Like, don't just open the door, but look out and see if it's children. And don't be wandering around with full masks on yourself because that's not safe. So there were a lot of things that they were able to share with our students that are enjoy the day, but keep yourself safe in the process. So I've asked a few students in the past, so what did you think when kids came to your door? And they said, at first, it was really weird. But then was really fun to see the children, little ones in all kinds of different costumes. So they said they really enjoyed it and they wanted to go do it. And it's hard to tell them, well, you're a little big to be going trick or treating. Like, we just don't do that here. But that was really fun for them.
And then we went to Boulevard. Is it that?
The Boulevard,
Yeah, the Boulevard.
Did a trip to the Boulevard, and I'm trying to see what else we had going on. Oh, this was International Education Week. We also did a group panel of 5 of our international students, and we had one faculty who was really the facilitator of the event. She is from Uruguay. And so she was wonderful, but afterwards we had a taste of many of the different countries of the students that were on the panel. So that was what these are, is people enjoying their little tastes of, the food that our food services was able to create for us. So that was really fun. We've had a lot of really fun activities. And then Gurkharat's gonna talk a little bit about what we have planned for this semester.
Our department hosting these events. So we have the scholarship workshops. These the January 29th and January 30th. So this is a workshop where just the international students can apply because we are not eligible for all the workshops. So these are the specific one where the international students can come and join and see like what can they take onto them.
And we did this on purpose right after we started because the deadline is the February 1st. So we've got to get these workshops in like right away.
And also we are having the welcome back meeting where the new students can meet the current students and have the, like communicate with them and also have the meet so that they can meet with them. And we are organizing the optical practical training. So this is a workshop where they can know that after the 4 years of study or like 2 years of study, they can work, but they have just 1 year where they can work full time in the field of interest because some students don't have the knowledge about it too. They just think that after completing their study, they have to turn back to their country or just have to do another thing. But our government provide us 1 year of training so that we can, if like I'm in a nursing major, so if I want to get experience in nursing, I can work here as full-time in that part of time.
And that really reinforces their education here. And it gives them something so solid to take back to their home country that they've had this much time working as a nurse, like your correct's gonna do. So it's really, that is such a valuable opportunity. Now, some of our students choose just to transfer and continue on to higher education, but there's a lot of our students that will do OPT. And OPT is for 1 year, but if you're a STEM student in one of the STEM majors, you get the opportunity to do extra year or two, depending on the degree. So I think our government is really wonderful in offering those opportunities for our students.
And then we have the student employment workshop where they can find that how can they apply on campus for jobs and what jobs are available for them. And also we have the International Picnic Day in a spring break so that they can go and like hang out with their new friends and new international students. And also the transfer workshop. So if like somebody is done with his semester, if they want to transfer to any other university or like 4-year university, they can plan it right now. So we're having the 2 days for that. And also we are planning to do the end of year gathering in May so that when they're done with their finals, they just get
We
back.
can have fun,
Yeah,
that's
have
right.
fun.
And the transfer workshop is also for students, even the ones that just are starting. We're trying to, across the whole college, let students know it's never too soon or too early to start thinking about where do you want to transfer, who has a program of study that's going to fit your needs and desires and what you really want to do. Because our university systems are so different. Some are very research-based, some are other. So it's really weeding that out. And our transfer center staff are really wonderful to help our students kind of figure out what are they gonna really be looking for? And do they want to stay in California or do they want to, try someplace else? Like there's so many factors there. It's like the world is open to them and it's kind of hard to pick. But we do the best we can to try to help them thinking about that ahead of time. And we did in our orientation yesterday, we talked a fair amount about thinking about transferring, even though I know you haven't even started classes here yet. But give some thought to that because we want to help you be able to get where you want to go. That's the goal. I think of BC is really trying to help our students succeed and persevere and earn a degree, but then what's next? Continue on. We want you to get a higher degree no matter where you go. Although we do love our students, we'd like to keep them here, but you can't do that forever.
Yeah, and also like not all of the universities provide degrees to international students. So it just give them the idea like where they can transfer and what university provide the degrees in that field of interest they want to go. So it's just like helpful tool for them.
So how can you help as staff at Bakersfield College understand that do you want to close that door? Understand that our students are held to different standards and regulations. So our students, our citizen students, don't have to go jumping through hoops to get a visa, meeting with a consulate, doing all those kinds of things. They can just apply and here they are. Reaching out to our department if you have any questions, that's really important. We have had, since we started doing the Flex workshops, we've had some really wonderful staff reach out to us and say, I just met with an international student and they're telling me this, and I'm a little concerned because I remember you saying they shouldn't drop classes or they can't work off campus or whatever it is. And it's really about letting them know that these are the things that you can't do and these are the things you can do. And please send them to us so we can clarify that for them, because it's important. One of the things that some of our students have really brought up to us is if they did not learn the English language and use it growing up, they have now learned a new language. And in that process, their brain wants to kind of translate everything into their home language from English and then try to spit it out like answers in English. So there's a process their brains often will go through that takes a little longer. Sometimes a teacher will ask a question and an international student might stall for a minute or two while they're processing that question and then coming up with what's my answer going to be. So it's just understanding that they may process our language a little bit differently and a little slower. And so not to be impatient with them because they're all trying really hard. And many of our students did not learn English, didn't use English in their home countries, other than they had a class in English, every year at school, but that's not enough. One of the ways people can help is getting involved as a mentor to an international student. If you're from another country, your heritage is different. Is it from one of the countries we have a student? Or if you just love traveling to a country and you would really like to get to know a student from there, we're happy to work with the students and have you be a mentor to them. Inviting an international student home for a holiday, because they typically do not go home. Some of them went home for Christmas break because that's a chunk of time. But really the rest of our holidays are so short, they don't have that much time to take off. So they don't go. And becoming a supporter of our international student organization. We had a pretty active international student organization until COVID. And we have been trying to get it back up and running again. And we're hoping to, get that going. But students have to volunteer for the different positions in the club. And so if they've got a full load and they're, working hard to get A's in their classes, they may not have time to work on that. So that's something that we're gonna keep pushing forward. Join us in an activity or an event. You saw that list of events that we have. We love to have people pop in and join us. Very happy to have you do us. Help us plan an activity or an event. If there's something that you think might be really fun, we can't think of everything, that's for sure. We've taken students to Condor Game. We've done things. There's a Bakersfield selfie trail that if you have not done it, it's a really fun one. My son and daughter-in-law who live in Boston were here in early November, and I've been telling them about this selfie trail for, 2 years. And so we decided to do it as a family, and we had more fun, and it is through the Bakersfield Visitor Center. And you just go to their website, you register to do it. It's all GPS coordinates, you plug in, and then you walk away with either a hat or a t-shirt or a Yeti that says Bakersfield on it. In fact, mine is right here that says, I don't know that the online people, but you can see that's mine and I use it every day and I love it. That's a really fun thing to do. So there are lots of things in Bakersfield itself that we can do with students. We've gone to the Boulevard, we've gone to John's Incredible Pizza. Those are really fun because they have all those activities you can do after you eat. And when we went to the Boulevard, we did some pretty fun bowling, right? Some of us were more successful than others. Some of us are not really, that great at bowling, but others were pretty rock stars doing it, which amazed us. Anyway, help us plan an activity or an event if you, would like to provide refreshments for an activity or an event. We try really hard when we're working with our students on events and having events, even our scholarship workshops, we, try to have little snacks for them. Those are the kinds of things that, really help every day. They help all the rest of us too. We enjoy refreshments. One of the things that I've been trying to really push during my years working with international students is getting more of our departments on campus to save department funds to hire an international student. Because as Girkarat mentioned, they don't get federal work study. So if you go on JobSpeaker at any given time, you're gonna see there are tons of jobs for students that have federal work study. And there are rarely jobs for students that don't. So we've been, that's been a big push I've made personally to try to educate departments. How about you save a little bit of funds and hire a student, even if it's only 5 hours a week? That is something that they can do, and they are learning the language, they're learning business by working in your department. They're learning so many life skills that it is so beneficial for our students to have that opportunity. Then support our international athletes. We actually only have tennis, men's tennis right now. But we have had many different, we've had football, we've had basketball, both men and women. We've had golf, we've had baseball. So we've had track, we've had soccer. Lots of our, we've had students from around the world come to play because their ultimate goal is then to get into a D1 school. So they will come here, we'll do the best we can, they get great grades, they can then potentially transfer to a really good school and, continue their education, but be able to hone their sport that they love. So that's another factor that's great. Can you write down the name of the online people on that? Finally, how can you help? If you are faculty, one of the things we ask is that you put the syllabus statement onto your syllabus. And this syllabus statement has been approved by our Dean of Students. And I know just yesterday, he sent out a new updated syllabus, kind of a packet for all the different programs that you can put information on your syllabus. That way students know that they have to be in 12 units. They can't go before, that they have to stay in compliance. That's a really important factor because we have a lot of students that will come to us and say, my teacher said I'm not doing very well and that I need to drop my class. Or my teacher said I'm not doing very well and so they're gonna drop me and then I have to get, then I can take this, what they say is I can take this class again another time. What they don't think about or realize how much it's costing, $1,000 or so for the student for that class. And if they go below the 12 units, the government can kick them out of the country. That's how serious it is. So it's not something that, oh, I'm not doing so well, so I'm gonna drop you. It's really about communicating with us and letting us know this student is not doing well, isn't turning in work, is getting just not grades good enough. We can help the student, linking them with tutoring, with the Writing Center. We even will link them with other international students that have done well in those classes that can mentor them and help them with that kind of stuff. But we can't do it if we don't know. So this syllabus statement really does help the students be aware that, oh, people know I have to be in 12 units. And then, they see that all the time. And that's important for our students to know that. We are located in the CSS building. EOPS has been there for a very long time. And so is tutoring. So we are under tutoring on the east side of the building, and we are on the east side of the building right next door to EOPS. And we love to have people come visit. We would love to meet with you and talk about what you could do as a staff or a faculty to support our students. Or if you need clarity on some of the things we talked about today, totally happy to talk to you. We love having visitors. So we'd love to have you come by and visit and talk to us about, you know, what ideas you have or any of those kinds of things. Okay, so now we're doing our clicker there. So both Gerkarat and I want to thank you for taking the time to learn about international students, but also to just raise awareness on the BC campus. We do have students from all over the world walking our halls and in your classes and up at your counters in A&R or, you know, other places. And we just would like you to know that they do fall under other regulations that our citizen students don't. And that it's important to know that, and that we all will be as welcoming as we can be for our students. So thank you for coming. We appreciate it. And we will hopefully see you on campus. Okay, so do you want to end the Zoom? And Christina?
Yes.
Since you're in person, this is kind of a recap of the regulations.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So these are the admissions things, and we do this with the student personally.